All right, reaction time. Let's
There is
go.
more high-quality content available than ever before.
You gotta do
and
IRL
yet
streams.
most people feel like there is something missing.
When
There
I
was once
feel
a
like
time
it,
where
buddy.
It felt like we were all on the same wavelength when it came to entertainment and pop culture. Everything felt more
the death of
impactful.
mainstream. Let's
Movies
go,
were
let's go.
bigger. Music spread further. Famous people were actually famous. Awards meant something. And if there was a shocking story in the news, it was impossible to miss. It was much easier to have your finger on the pulse of pop culture, and it created this bond that we had together as strangers. And we took it for granted, because now that that bond is gone, the world of entertainment, music, movies, shows, social media feels oversaturated, confusing, and dull. I bet most of you can relate to this. How many times these days does someone say to you, "Hey, did you hear about," or "Hey, did you see?" And not only is your answer no, but you literally have no idea what they are talking about. Life wasn't always like that. What we are missing today and for the past few years is a
That's why Mother Trucker still glaze. And I mean glaze Taylor Swift to this day, bro.
monoculture, which is essentially one culture that all Americans are connected to. Sometimes I even call it the death of mainstream, because nothing really feels mainstream anymore. Every decade had their own version of monoculture that was seemingly easily defined. But what will define the 2020s? Monoculture is dead. And for anyone watching this that's like a teenager or younger, it means nothing because they can't relate to that experience. But literally anyone older than that remembers their version of monoculture and probably misses it because it represents a much more simple time. Every generation before Gen Alpha had limited options for entertainment, and they thought it was a burden, flipping through TV channels saying, "Oh, there's nothing to watch." But now our options are infinite. 3.7 million YouTube videos uploaded every day, one streaming service with every song ever made, and 100,000 new songs being uploaded every day. Dozens of subscription services with thousands of movies and TV shows, a literal endless singular feed of short form videos that one can spend hours without realizing.
Wait, that's actually so true. Because like now when there's like TikTok memes and trends, everyone be talking about it, and I do not know what the hell they're talking about. And then so do some of my friends. They wouldn't know what they're talking about. But then there'll be a group of their friends that would know exactly what they're talking about. That's actually facts.
The time has passed, and despite having access to all of this content, a lot of us feel bored and disconnected from each other. Well, today I want to talk about that feeling. That feeling like something is missing. I believe it is tied to the death of monoculture. So let's dive into how we got here, where it went wrong, and actually why some of you might consider it to be a good thing. Entertainment has always evolved based on the available technology. The easier it is to consume, the less impactful it is. Movie theater ticket sales had their all-time peak in the US in 1946. Over 90 million weekly admissions were recorded, which means that about 60% of the US population went to go see a movie that year. Now, were movies
A time where people went to watch a movie. Get a load of this guy, man. Bro, all I gotta do is swipe up on my phone, open Netflix, boom, it's there. Guys, that's a good
better in 1946? Absolutely not. There were just less of them, and less entertainment overall. The introduction of the television likely slowed down movie ticket sales, but opened up a whole new opportunity for entertainment. Cartoons, sitcoms, and of course, ads. You've probably never heard of Spokio, Truthfinder, or Been Verified, but they've definitely heard of you. These are data brokers. Their entire business model is collecting your personal info and selling it so the artists and ads, television, book, or on 9 to 5 teach someone to tell you had to removed at the exact time it aired, or you missed it and had to wait for someone to tell you what happened the next day. Or even worse, you had to read this book called the TV Guide.
Oh, I remember going to like a grandma's, like not mine, but like any other like granny's place, and like I would see TV guides when I was like young, bro. When I was young, I would see TV guides on like the counter or something
to figure out when they were going to air a rerun. Plus, there were only a few channels, so competition for attention was fierce. But that also meant that millions of people were watching the same thing at the same time. With most households operating on 9 to 5 work schedules, the only time carved out to entertain yourself.
Oh my life, prime time TV, 8 p.m. was prime. Friday, 8 p.m. Banger, banger, banger. Oh my. Take me back to when all I cared about was Nickelodeon on a Friday, Disney Channel on a Friday, the new episode of this, the new episode of like iCarly. No, not iCarly. What's it called? Henry Danger, Game Shakers, all them Shimshin, Austin and Ali, Mother Truck and Jesse, all them guys.
Was
bro.
between 7 and 10.
Oh,
This was known
bangers.
as prime time, and that's when the few good shows were
Yeah,
on.
yeah, yeah.
Families watched the same things together, and a new episode
Yeah.
airing at 8 p.m. on a weeknight could
Nah, I
dominate
missed
school
this,
hallways
bro.
and office break rooms the next day. Worst case
Oh,
scenario,
wait,
you
that's
could stay up
facts.
for late night television where Letterman would catch you up on all your pop culture news. We were connected as humans, kind of operating on the same wavelength, and the entertainment added to our humanity. That is, unless you were entirely disinterested from the few available shows and movies, then you had no other options, your life sucked, and you were looking for other forms of entertainment like heroin. But at least back then, it didn't have fentanyl in it. But the way people consumed movies and televisions stayed relatively the same for decades. By the 1970s, 95% of households had a TV in it. And then in the 80s and 90s, there was a massive uptick in available entertainment, like an entire TV channel dedicated to showing music videos, or an entire channel dedicated to showing cartoons. But even with more niche options, primetime shows still dominated pop culture, and Americans still felt a sense of togetherness through a somewhat limited availability. Is
Classic.
music not hitting the
Absolute
same
banger.
anymore? Doesn't it feel like you used to have a connection with others based on a shared love for the same music? Well, music had a similar permeating connection to monoculture with a few key differences. For most of the 20th century, music was somewhat of a luxury. Today, for $15 a month, you can get access to every song ever made and 100,000 new
It's still a luxury. $10 a month. It's still a banger to the credit. But I don't know, man. I don't know how I feel about that. Now I was gonna say something, but I forgot.
ones uploaded daily.
What?
$15 used to get you one album, and you had to take your happy ass to a record store and physically buy it. And if the album was in high enough demand, they might not actually have it. And that seems like a dumb thing to say, but in our modern culture, entertainment is never not available to you. These stores often had a strong sense of community and served as a gathering place for music fans. It wasn't unusual for artists to stop in and play mini concerts or sign albums before an appearance in a particular city. When people bought an album, they were now invested. They worked hard for that money. So to get the value back, they actually listened to the whole thing. They even tried to like the songs that they didn't initially like because they paid for it, which ultimately made them appreciate the artistry on a different depth. This uninterrupted focus on the music built a deeper connection from the fans to the artist. Fans had to
Okay.
imagine what their favorite musicians were like based on lyrics, a few interviews, and carefully staged photographs in magazines or posters on their wall. There was a
Wait, this is
mystique. Pop
tough.
stars felt larger than life, almost like fictional characters, which is why people would pass out at the mere sight of Michael Jackson. Today we have countless interviews and endless access to all of their thoughts and opinions on social media. That mystery is
Now they
gone.
even turn
Artists
into
are more
streamers.
accessible than ever, and because of that, they feel less special. And since music was basically a luxury, most people didn't have tons of disposable income to buy every release they wanted to listen to. So they typically resorted to listening
Is this why people glaze Kai? Because he likes to stay mysterious.
to the radio or watching MTV. You couldn't just search your favorite Guns N' Roses song and get that instant gratification. You had to turn on MTV and just wait for it to come on, but in the meantime, you were consuming tons of other good songs that made you a more well-rounded music listener. And that was the same predicament for everyone. So at school dances, parties,
Nah, I actually remember them days, bro. I remember the days where like, yo, I would be watching MTV. I hear a song I love. And I was like, yo, where did that song go? I wait an hour later, they play the song again. It pops up in like the bottom corner. Like for like 10 seconds, it pops in the bottom corner. I have to memorize the name and the artist. I'm like, no, it's like Summon. And I remember hearing Jason Derulo, What You Say, all my life. That song is a banger to this day. I'm not gonna lie, I'm invested in that
or
song.
clubs, everyone felt connected
gonna lie.
because the songs that were being played were the ones that everyone had the same access to. A lot of club DJs today still mostly play music from the 2010s, and a lot of people wonder why they aren't playing more modern music. Like, are we all crippled by nostalgia? Well, not necessarily, but when you play music from the 2010s, you can kind of guarantee that everyone in the club is going to know those songs. Whereas
Not
today,
true.
everyone just listens to vastly different music. What's considered
True.
extremely popular and mainstream to you might literally not be considered
That's true. Like when Fake Mink, not even Fake Mink, just the whole of the underground were put on wireless, and then some people were mad as hell that that underground was on wireless, and then guys are gassed as hell, including me. I was so gassed seeing the underground on wireless, which by the way, I wish I went to because bro, I'm trying to see. But you're telling me the whole of underground, YT, all them guys, and the Nems. Are you crazy, bro? I want to go wireless now.
Considered extremely popular and mainstream
Holy.
to the person next to you. Today, we have unlimited access to every song ever made. When a new song or album drops, it is just right there in your phone. You don't have to talk to anyone, don't have to buy it, don't have to wait. Most of the time, the artist is actually begging you to listen to it, or you accidentally found out about it. You didn't even want to discover it. Most people have resorted to just letting the algorithm decide what music to recommend to them because it's easier than doing all of the effort I just talked about before. Combine this lack of mono connectivity through music, requiring absolutely no effort to get access to the music, as well as artists not having the star power due to overexposure, and surprise, surprise, music holds absolutely no value to the average casual listener. Once we entered the 2000s, the rapid advancement of available technology caused a dominant monoculture.
Now hold on. This is a trick right here. Now this is a thing I was thinking of doing. I'm not gonna lie. He talked about overexposure killing the hype. Hold on now. What about I stream once a week? Hold on. Then guys will realize how much they somehow miss me, and then boom. Hold on, that's low key a banging. That could be a thing. I'm just saying.
To become more fragmented. TVs were becoming cheaper, bigger, and higher quality. The internet was getting faster, becoming easier to access and navigate. Cell phones were in everyone's pocket. We were becoming more connected than ever, but we didn't realize it was actually going to drive us further apart. In my opinion, 2000 to 2010 was a great sweet spot for pop culture. I would describe today's culture as everything all at once. In the early 2000s was the same, but it was slightly more manageable. Let's start simple. Movies. Here's a graph of every movie released per year around the world. You can see the quantity of movies released remained relatively the same from the early 1970s to the late 1990s, and it just started slowly ramping up in the 2000s before it exponentially exploded. Back then, there was a rhythm to it all. You'd get 2 or 3 massive blockbusters every summer, movies like Spider-Man, Pirates of the Caribbean, or The Dark Knight, which dominated culture for weeks. As fall and winter rolled in, you'd see smaller budget, more experimental, or just simple films rise to the surface. Movies like Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind, Little Miss Sunshine, Juno, and Requiem for a Dream. Everyone kind of knew what was coming and when it was coming, and that predictability created a shared sense of anticipation. Even smaller budget films had a shot at becoming massive, and the reason they had a shot was because people actually went to the theaters. Our last peak in movie theater ticket sales was in 2002 when 1.5 billion tickets were sold. But even if you didn't go to the theater, we had these really cool things called DVDs where you could buy the movie that you missed and watch it at home. And if you didn't want to commit to buying it, no worries. You could rent the film for a few bucks by going.
I ain't gonna lie, that's what I used to do, bro. Even in 2014. I guess this don't really count because it was online, but I remember I wanted to watch Annie so bad to the point I rented it off my mom's like Sky TV, and then I remember that. Yo, I was so young and dumb, bro.
To this magical place called Blockbuster. This is a store where you could essentially browse all of the movies that you didn't get the chance to see. You would actually talk to the employee who worked there, and they would give you a recommendation or tell you what everyone else is renting. Sometimes a movie was in such high demand that all of their copies would be rented and you couldn't get it. Imagine that. Imagine any form of entertainment being unavailable for you today. Scarcity created demand, and it made the film.
Nah, it's like if you go to Netflix and then like you're trying to watch the new Squid Game, but it says unavailable because like 7 million guys are watching it at the same time.
More exciting. It made you want to watch it more. Most of those crappy yet special early 2000s comedies were the perfect films to pick up at a Blockbuster, and people loved that place. The company earned $5 billion in revenue in 2004. The point is that you and everyone around you had this physical connection with the entertainment and was actively using their brain to choose what they wanted to consume. TV still had a somewhat similar rhythm in the 2000s. Primetime was still valuable airtime. MTV was in its best era, in my opinion, having a plethora of terrible yet oddly captivating reality TV shows and experimental series while still having
Streaming is mainstream. No, but it's not mainstream, bro. It's not mainstream at all. It's probably like the biggest thing. Like it's considered mainstream, but it's not the real mainstream. Mainstream is like a TV show that would come on at 8 p.m. Like for example, you would watch the new episode of Henry Danger at night at 8 p.m. Next thing you know, you go into school, everyone's watched it, everyone's talking about it. That was like how it was with like certain things, bro. Like you would watch it the day before and then you go into school and everyone's talking about it, bro. That type of thing. Same with like artists, like everyone's to the same artist, everyone just like glazing and they do like, you know what I mean? Like they actually have value.
Sister network, MTV2, play music videos 24/7. It was one of the
Bro, I refuse to believe that kids are going into schools and talking about, oh, did you guys see Rakai blow up Kai Cenat's house last night? I refuse to believe that. Imagine, no. Deadass, I'm gonna post on TikTok. If any kids that go to, I don't know, middle school or anything, do you guys go to school saying 2X Rakai blew up Kai Cenat's house? Nothing wrong with saying that. But like, I just genuinely wanna know, bro. Because yo, is that the new mainstream? Deadass.
most versatile eras for mainstream music, with lyrical rap, crunk rap, rock, emo rock, country, pop, EDM, R&B, and countless other genres in a healthy rotation on MTV and the radio. It was just on the cusp of being overwhelming, but having it all contained on MTV and VH1 made it still manageable to keep up with. Kids were absolutely consumed by Nickelodeon,
That's
Disney
actually
Channel.
wild. That's actually wild. Some random kid from Syracuse, NYC is looked up upon like it's Nickelodeon and Disney Channel. That's crazy.
And Cartoon Network, which were 3 separate networks that each had 2 to 3 shows worth paying attention to in their respective eras. We still had a healthy separation between our personal lives and our school and work life from 9 to 5, only entertaining ourselves lightly in the morning and in the evenings. We didn't have a phone to distract us from literally every millisecond of boredom. The entertainment options still felt limited enough that you could feel like everyone around you was on the same wavelength. Plus,
do you not look up to PBM at this point? No, but PBM is different. No, I don't look up to him like I never even looked up to the guys I watched on TV, bro. It's just like, bro, there's no way you don't know what I mean, bro. I mean, like, yo, if you watch someone on Disney, they're untouchable, bro. Them guys are on your TV every day, bro. Like, them guys are TV. PBM is like online.
Yeah.
we were still at the mercy of knowing the schedule of when new shows were going to air, but that started to die when cable companies provided DVR capabilities. You could now record your favorite shows and movies and watch them later whenever you wanted.
That used to be the best series. No. That wasn't the best thing. This was the best thing, on demand. Now that was a movie. I remember I would download I remember when on demand was new, and I would download a whole series, and I feel like I was cheating. I feel like I was hacking into the mainframe, and like, oh my god, at one point there was a time where you could rewind the channel. Oh my god, rewinding was the channel was generational. That was insane.
This was the beginning of the streaming service era takeover that so many people today loathe. Today, you may feel like you are not as connected to the culture.
I ain't gonna lie, when that first was happening, where like everyone just started switching to watching straight Netflix, YouTube, stuff like that, I ain't gonna lie, I low-key hated it. I was like, yo, TV's amazing. Why is everyone ditching TV? Why the hell is Disney Channel getting shut down? That's what I was like. But then I just slowly became like everyone else.
Because 1, less people are going to the theaters, and 2, the DVD and TV business has been demolished by streaming services like Netflix, Hulu, HBO Max, etc. Being able to stream anything, anywhere, anytime, all while being alone in your room means there's no anticipation, no excitement, nobody to share the experience with, and therefore no real reason to watch, which is why you simply scroll and scroll through endless choices, waiting for something to magically grab your attention, waiting for something to give you a reason to watch, but it just never happens. On a lighter note, every now and again, we do have a monoculture moment. I think back to the Barbie movie where girls were excited to dress in all pink and drag their boyfriends to the theaters, only for
that was horror, by the way. I went to watch the Barbie movie. Oh, brother.
The guys to immediately after drag their girls to see.
I feel like I looked down. I feel like I was getting looked down upon. I feel like the whole theater hated me, bro. I felt like I was like, oh, like men. You know how they say men, but they sent to the E.
The Oppenheimer, where I'm assuming many of them fell asleep. I think back to Squid Games, where it felt like everyone and their mother
The
was
Minions movie.
blindsided by this dystopian critique of capitalism
Bird
disguised
Box.
as a up game show. As far as films go, it feels like it's only every couple of years where there is a moment that we are all in sync, when it used to be literally all year, every year. I can't even remember the last time music had a monoculture moment. I mean, sure, radio is still kind of relevant. TikTok made...
What's one artist that everyone can agree is goated? Bro, we haven't had that since Juice WRLD. Oh, that's insane, bro.
Popular songs, more popular, but there's so much music all over the place, all the time, that I don't even know what anybody's listening to anymore. For TV, Yellowstone, Severance, White Lotus, Love Island. I mean,
it's a shame because the only one I can think of from that list is Love Island, Lust Island, if you must.
They are extremely popular, but can we say everyone is watching those shows?
Nah,
Will those shows define this era? I bet there are a ton of you watching that are like, I didn't watch a single one of those shows.
Yeah.
The irony of it all is that the death of a unified culture everyone seems to be feeling came with our pursuit to be more connected than ever before. Because the adaptation of the internet and social media into our everyday lives was the nail in the coffin for monoculture. By the turn of the century, everyone with extra cash had a computer somewhere in the house. Our parents were...
I feel like this is the same reason why gaming died. We need sort to make the death of gaming. I need an explanation of that.
Using them to basically replace what the newspaper did for decades. As the desktops and internet connection got faster, we looked at forums, chatted through AOL Instant Messenger, played simple flash games on Newgrounds, and even bid on random antiques from eBay. Being connected to random people all over the world was beautiful. You were no longer limited to the thought.
Yeah, I ain't gonna lie. The internet, you can connect with anyone. Bro, I'm telling you, probably even Kaiser Nat, no troll. Look at Ray, for example. The guy went on a field trip and look at him now.
Beliefs and interests of those in your geographical
anything
location.
is a possibility.
The internet was still somewhat difficult to navigate. You know, there was a time when Google didn't have all the answers. You had to check other search engines like Yahoo and my favorite, Ask
Yahoo
Jeeves, to find what you were looking for. Videos would take forever to load. The quality was often terrible and sometimes just straight up didn't work. Using the internet kind of felt like exploring uncharted land. That friction, scarcity, and lack of instant gratification was what made it special. It was worth working for. Today, we just expect things to work. We demand convenience, and we are willing to give up our human autonomy for it. Initially, the entertainment industry as a whole saw the internet as a threat because of piracy. Suddenly, millions of people could download movies, music, and TV shows for free through networks.
I ain't gonna lie, I don't think a single... Nah, what am I talking about? Obviously, guys still get Netflix and stuff. But let's be so for real. You don't need it anymore, do you? You don't need it. You can get it, but it's not needed at all. There's obvious sites.
Networks like Napster, LimeWire, and torrent sites completely bypassing traditional revenue models.
The only thing you need now is to actually buy games. That's it. And even that, if you want to play a single player game, you know where to go. Not that I'm promoting it. I'm just saying you know where to go. But if you want to play online, then yeah, you have to still buy the game for the service and blah, blah, blah.
Studios, labels, and networks feared the collapse of their business structures, as physical sales and TV deals were at the risk of being replaced. The internet stripped them of control, and for the first time, the consumer had the power to access content without paying a cent.
Bro, not even just that, not even just purchase it. They get to be the entertainment, fam. Look at streaming on YouTube.
From the consumer's perspective, the logic was simple. Why pay for something when you can get it for free instantly? Piracy wasn't just about being cheap, it was about convenience. Buying a CD or DVD meant going to a store, spending 10 to 20 bucks, and hoping you'd like the full album or movie. Then again, people didn't realize the nuanced value of the additional human experiences they got while consuming entertainment. All that driving to the store, talking to people, limited inventory, sitting on a sticky theater seat, that was all just considered to be an inconvenient cost to getting what you wanted. But you couldn't argue against the value that the internet brought to individuals. It gave everyone a voice, a platform, and endless options tailored exactly to their preferences. And that ramped up significantly in 2003 when MySpace became the first widely accepted platform for social media. By 2005, the platform had around 300 million users and had an estimated estimated valuation of over $10 billion. The platform allowed people to share their personal passions and stories as individuals. If nobody in your real life aligned with your interests, you would be able to find a community of like-minded people.
7,000 people. Yo, 7,000 people clicked subscribe and was like, yeah, this guy is my guy, bro. That's crazy.
Online. People started calling random strangers on the internet their friends. They became invested in their lives, wanting to know what they were doing in their geographical location. Your connection to random people.
Hey, if you're still watching this video to this part of the video, make sure you guys like, subscribe, drop a comment down below, be like, hey Rory, hi, and all of that business. 7,000 butts.
People around the world started to make you disconnected from those physically around you. Slowly, the digital world began to feel more important than the physical one. As platforms evolved, first with Facebook, then Instagram, and eventually TikTok, the focus shifted even further away from a shared experience.
Not even reading YouTube chat, cool. Oh, May 5.
And towards personal branding. Algorithms were designed not to connect people as a whole, but to keep you personally engaged, feeding you content you already agreed with or found entertaining. The internet became less of a town square and more of an echo chamber, reflecting only your own tastes, beliefs, and biases back at you, just so you wouldn't click off the app. Social media stopped being about community and became a stage where everyone was the main character of their own story. It made individuals feel more powerful than ever, which could be considered a good thing, but it also created a cultural landscape more narcissistic, divisive, and isolated than any era in history. So the reason why movies, TV, YouTube, social media, and literally all other forms of entertainment don't feel the same is a combination of really complicated nuances. However, with a shift in mentality, you could look at all of this as a good thing. If you are a strong-minded individual, introverted, or just someone who doesn't really care about a sense of community and those around.
What's this vid? Bro, Mids, I ain't gonna lie. I'm gonna upload my reaction on YouTube, bro. I think it's worth what, like, dead ass. This is a banger. This is one of the best videos I ever watched, bro. The death of mainstream.
You are in the golden ages. For decades, if
wait,
you didn't
this app
fit
is
into
sick.
the narrow lens
why does bro actually like the YouTube chat? What the
of what the mainstream deemed valuable, if you didn't like the biggest pop star or wear the right clothes or relate to the 5 TV shows everyone else watched, you were invisible. You had nowhere to go. You were the weird kid, the quiet one, the one who didn't belong. But now the internet.
I don't watch YT unless it's Markiplier, Corey, and IBP. Sorry, I don't know why it was really hard for me to say Markiplier. Yeah, what? Yeah, that's sick. Twitch should add that. Channel points.
That gives you infinite options.
But no, this video is actually worth it.
And literally any interest you may have, no matter how unique it is, chances are there is a niche community where someone like you isn't just accepted, you're celebrated. Do you like wolves eating watermelons? So do 61,000 other people. Do you like stapling bread to trees? So do 335,000 other people. Yeah. Today, a girl who was once mocked in school for drawing anime characters in her notebook can become a full-time artist with a fan base of thousands or millions. A kid who was laughed at for
whoa, this is epic. Woo, let's go YT. Okay.
making weird songs on his cracked BandLab app can go viral on TikTok and then chart on the Spotify Viral 50. A filmmaker with no connections and no budget can put their short film on YouTube and have it resonate with millions of people around the world. These stories were impossible in the monoculture era because the gatekeepers decided what was and what wasn't. Before the internet, independence was next to impossible.
But that's what I was saying. All the kids at Disney. This is why mainstream isn't mainstream anymore. Because anyone can really be mainstream now. Back in the mainstream days, Disney, no one could touch them. You could never become friends with who? Dove Cameron, boy, all them guys. You could never become friends with them, bro. But it's like now you can become friends with Rakai anytime.
And today, the gatekeepers have less power than ever. So maybe entertainment feels more
Retweet, I'm getting
chaotic,
number
more
one on
overwhelming, and
IB
less
right now.
special. Maybe
Took
we are
my
no
spot
longer
and
all
XP is
connected under
broken.
a simple, easy to navigate monoculture, but there is more
Anyone can be
opportunity
big
than
now,
ever for
yeah.
a small independent creator to get a taste of that success. And for consumers, if you know what your interests are and do not let algorithms decide what you want to watch and are willing to do the tedious task to actively get outside of the echo chamber that these algorithms are trying to hold you in and find that one quality YouTuber or that one underrated Hulu series, then you are probably completely fine with today's entertainment climate. Build your own world. Who cares about community? This is your life. Now, I personally go back and forth on my feelings towards the death of monoculture. I don't personally feel drowned out in content. Since I have terrible movie and TV taste, I will watch just about anything as long as there is a decent premise for the plot. As far as music goes, I am totally willing to put in the grind to find my new favorite artist, and I'm actually one of those annoying people who kind of starts to dislike someone when they get more famous. So I actively look for underrated talent, and Spotify and social media makes that a million times easier and more convenient. But at the same time, I do miss that sense of monoculture. I play a lot of golf, and when I meet new people, I've had countless conversations that lead nowhere because we have absolutely nothing in common due to being stuck in totally different algorithmic echo chambers.
Nah, that's true, bro. Like, yo, you actually get looked at weird if you're like, oh yeah, did you listen to that new Nino Paid, that new net spend? Guys are not gonna know what you're talking about. I ain't gonna lie. But then if you meet that right girl or right guy, they're gonna be like, oh yeah, I listen to them all the time. You just have to get lucky.
Sometimes the golfers don't even watch golf. So I'm just like, how's the weather? And obviously I'm a creator, so I'm benefiting from...
Bro, you can't even lie. Netspend has some bangers. Yo, I might get copyrighted for this. Oh wait, no, I won't because it won't be in the vid, but this song is a banger. I impact, so you know my impact. Under the skin, I into that. I will feeling, thinking to the ceiling, party in the building, party in it. You see, now I think that's a banger song, but then guys are gonna be like, nah, that song's trash, bro. And that's the sad reality of life now. Would you rather fight Prime me or Prime Mike Tyson for 1 mil?
From a system that was created for me to succeed. And because of my feelings going back and forth, my channel is somewhat a reflection of the lack of and yearning for an entertainment monoculture. My YouTube channel is kind of like a 2000s MTV inspired hodgepodge of modern pop culture. Firstly, I'm reliable, posting every Monday at 3:15 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And every week we talk about something pop culture related. Sometimes it's music, sometimes it's film, sometimes it's internet personalities, sometimes it's a comedian.
That's low-key a good way of going up, you know, treating your YouTube channel like it's TV. That's low-key a banger.
Action sports star, politics. The modern YouTube algorithm wants you to keep making the same video over and over with the same thumbnails and dominate one specific niche, which is why you see so many successful channels being repetitive, because that is literally what works.
Yeah, I don't want to do that. Me personally, I just like to do what I want and post it.
I try to keep a balance, and because of that, some videos get more views than others. Some videos bomb, but I hope you enjoy me keeping that old early 2000s variety. You can come to my channel to keep you updated with modern pop culture and feel some tiny slice of that monoculture we all used to love. Also, this was kind of a different style of video for my channel. I usually stick to documentaries that are objective and fact-based, but recently I've just kind of been wanting to switch it up a little bit. So I'll be looking at the comments to see what you guys think.
Nah, this video was a banger. This video was a banger. I'm dropping a comment. This video was amazing. I think you should make a video on the death of gaming. Why do we get a new mod? Yo, Aspect, how do I tell you that's an old one?